Hello YouTube, I'm back again with another video. The reason why I didn't talk in my video, I had some family in the house, so it would have been very awkward to talk while doing a video because they can distract me while making videos because they're gonna ask me what I'm talking about, what I'm doing. So besides that, ignore the noise outside besides me talking, but this is just the television playing to let my neighbors know that there's guests in the house so they don't come to my house bothering me. So I use the main phase effect of Beta World. I discard for cost, but he uses Ash to negate. Alright. But when he afterwards, I'm going to summon Beta Hacker Hermes. That's effect. And when it's a normal special summon, they get to add a Beta Hacker monster from your deck man. But in response, he plays Ash Blossom. Alright, cool. Then I'll go into a Link 1, which is Link Karibo. So he sets one card and another face down. Two cards actually, two spell traps, one monster. So same thing with Beta World. I'll discard for cost, search for another, just Beta Hacker Hermes again. Use Beta Hacker Hermes effect again, waiting for a response. Alright. And I can't attack him directly thanks to Beta World effect, which is definitely worth the drawback because if I manage to get rid of this card from my field, I avoid the drawback. He assumes puppet is called Plutus. Plutus because they're all based off the Greek gods, their names, as you can read. But the downside of the Beta Hack monsters that are in my main deck, I can only special summon them once per turn, each of their own name, because that way so you can avoid abusing their effects. So use Beta Hacker's effect. I'll shuffle the Hermes. I'll use Hermes effect, but he's going to chain using Neon remote control. Alright, cool. Bangladesh's capital Dhaka reached temperatures of 42 degrees Celsius, hotter than it's been in decades. Not so bad for those who can afford to retreat indoors into the air conditioning, but potentially life-threatening for those that can't. While millions across the region it's going to banish two, I said. He's going to Neon Samurai Atsushi. Alright, cool. We'll use Atsushi's effect. Atsushi, sorry. Considering how powerful my cards are, they have really big like restrictions though. Not really big, but the restrictions on these cards are pretty hefty though. It's to ensure that this deck doesn't just outright OTK players. So that's why I ensure with the field spell I don't just outright kill my opponent directly, because not only will it make my deck stronger, but it ensures my opponent has a chance of actually playing as well, of actually doing something. So it gives them time to set up their monsters, and depending how I summon, what matters that you use Beta World first, and then you have to find ways of getting rid of it, which we have, which is Plutus or other monster effects or other cards. But it does help open you up to a lot of big plays in just one turn. That's how good it is. So as we continue, so overall, this card just sets up a lot of plays for you in one turn. Even if you have to discard for cost. And then the fact that you reshuffle your Beta Hacker monsters, that's the whole strategy. You reshuffle them and then get to reuse them every single turn. So making Beta World that much powerful of a field spell. Probably one of the more underrated field spells, if you ask me. So he's going to use Neon Fall to, I assume he's going to target his Neon Ana to flip it face up from face down. And then he'll probably use its other effect. Okay, I'm waiting. Sure, he's going to destroy my field spell. But since it left the field, now I can actually attack him directly. I say that's cool. He won't activate the Neon Wakadoshiori Kyoko's effect to fusion summon. But he's just going to flip this card face up. And he's Atsushi's effect. Sure, fine by me. He's going to Exceed Summon for Neon Shogun. Ishin, which looks more like a psychic rather than a warrior. But in response, use Linkuribo's effect. His attack becomes 0 and he takes 200. Draw, and now use Pluto's effect. I'm seeing if he has any response. Waiting. Hopefully he has a response, who knows. He's going to chain. Thanks to his Mushakura. I'm not sure if he's doing anything in response to. Sure, I'll discard, but he's going to use effect though. What else? Then I'm going to link summon. Okay, they're banished. Cool. I'm going to link summon to Nike. Then I'll use, obviously, Beta Hacker's effect, which is Engrave. I made sure to limit her so she's intubiusable. Yep. And I get to draw 2 cards. Beta World's effect. I'm not sure whether I'll use the effect yet. I'm going to wait before I do. I'm going to equip Nike with Beta Hacker Seed. To Beta Hacker Seed, I'm going to activate Beta Seed and equip it to Beta Hacker Nike. Sorry, I apologize. Just don't want to mislead you guys. But since I control more special summon monsters, that's how the effect works. But one thing I didn't realize, his face down monsters are considered special summons, since that's how they were summoned face down. So even if they were face down, if they were special summoned, they're still considered special summon monsters, even if they're not face up. As you see right now, so I can't use Beta Seed's other effect to gain control of his Shogun. So either way, attack is face down, sure. He's going to fusion summon, that's fine. I'll chain with Aether's effect. And then go to Apollo and Phosphorus, which is cool.
Pakistan is in financial crisis. Last month, food prices rose nearly 50% after the government depreciated the currency and cancelled subsidies.
I think the mistake is they can't attack this shit. That was stupid of me.
8,000 orphans and vulnerable children. It says the economic turmoil is behind the slump in donations.
In terms of cash donations, they have received about
Then use Phosphorus effect.
the whole year they've received
Pay 500 life points.
Due to inflation, purchasing power has become very low. The value of
To go into Demeter. Oops, my mistake again. Has to be a spell. That's fine. That's crazy. Still managed to summon the Bureau. Still crazy. Alright, that's fine.
Isn't expecting donations to increase anytime
The
soon.
effect of Beta World. Prometheus. Then use Prometheus effect. But I got shuffle 3 from my grave into the deck.
So we are facing problems and we are worried.
So even if I can't attack my opponents directly, this deck already is strong the way it is. Like, doesn't matter if you don't attack opponents like directly. You're always building your board. You're always going to be able to build your board, even if you have to discard. So in itself, it's just a very powerful field spell. Not in its own right, but concerning the effects, considering how much of a restriction this card has, not being able to attack your opponent directly for the next 2 battle phase, it gives the opponent at least a chance to actually compete with the deck. Because the deck is already powerful as it is, so you gotta limit it so that you don't just outright kill the opponent, because it would make the deck unfair to play against. So the opponent has the chance to compete against his deck. And the deck, even though it has a complete massive restriction, it's already a challenge regardless. So even if you put up against a meta deck, this deck has ways of just retrieving the resource always, regardless. So now I'm just waiting my opponent's turn, so I'm going to negate, and this is where he admits defeat. So, like I said, I don't have to attack my opponents directly in order to win. But overall, hope you guys enjoyed the strategy of the Beta Hacker deck. This is like one of my oldest archetypes, so it's been like years since I actually made this archetype. And to be fair, Building custom archetype is not very easy. It takes some time. Definitely takes years. Takes a lot of thinking as well as brainstorming. So the fact that I managed to make this archetype, I did feel like I had to nerf a lot of the cards as well as fix the card text. Because I when before I made like before I posted onto dueling book, the deck was it was absolutely broken without the restrictions. It was absurd. Like I feel like the cards themselves would not does not seem like it even is even meant to be played at all. Just because of how unfair and unbalanced they were. But I made sure if I was to make this to an actual archetype online and people have the chance to play, I want to make sure 100% that this deck has huge amount of restrictions. Like considering the draw power, I made sure to restrict that as well, even though you draw a lot. But if you are to draw a lot, you got to make sure that it doesn't mean that you can immediately kill the opponent. You got to give them a chance to play. So not only does it give you more resources, but it gives the opponents a chance to play. So that's the only downside. But I want to show the archetype in itself is able to compete and that has ways of like retaliating so that it's not always suffering to big boards, making it a very versatile deck. And fair enough, you can't attack your opponent's life points directly, but that should be the case for a lot of decks to make sure how far the game can go so that every archetype has a chance of competing and actually giving giving it the opportunity to say that consider how consistent this deck is. Too many hits shouldn't be made. It deserves its spot, like without having to be restricted by heavily throughout future ban lists, in that it can stay in check, and that as long as the cards have really good restrictions, there's no need to fix it in trying to nerf this deck, and that it can remain the way it is because it has already enough restrictions. It's already strong the way it is, and it keeps the game more balanced. And that was the purpose of even making start. I try to ensure that this archetype is viable, but that there isn't too many complaints about it. Although there is some flaws as well. Maybe whether the deck doesn't do enough, but it also makes it so that this deck isn't inherently broken to the point that it's always winning and that the games can at least go back and forth. But overall, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to check for more upcoming content later in the future. Be sure to check your notifications. Comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.